Hi, my name's Connor Book, and today we're going to be talking about policy advocacy when it comes to addiction recovery. And I apologize, I have to do it in this format. My computer's old and it's not working too great with Blackboard. So a little bit about this and kind of what it is. So addiction recovery policy advocacy focuses on creating laws and programs that improve access to treatment, reduce stigma, and support individuals in long-term recovery. I chose this topic because it's what I do for my practicum. Addiction's kind of been rampant in my life, my family's, a lot of close friends, and it means a great deal to me. And there's a lot of, especially with clients, just a lot of barriers that they have to get over that is a result of policy. So a little bit of an example of advocacy in this field would be the Support Act, which was introduced in 2018. And what it was is it was called the Support for Patients and Communities Act, but it expanded funding for treatment, recovery housing, and medication-assisted treatment to deal with the opioid crisis. So that was things like methadone and Suboxone to give people an out so they don't have to basically sit there in withdrawals for months on end. So this legislation expanded funding for treatment, recovery housing, MAT, and advocacy organizations like Faces and Voices of Recovery. They worked with they worked with policymakers to push for these changes, and the way that they did that was highlighting personal stories of people in recovery. So types of advocacy used, legislative advocacy strategy, and that's influencing lawmakers to essentially pass the bill, and then grassroots advocacy too. So that was organizations working to mobilize people in recovery to share their personal experiences. And there was big viral marketing campaigns with organizations like DARE. You see things for heroin, fentanyl, opioids on billboards, bus stops, all kinds of stuff where they're trying to reach the target demographic. So here next, the most evident advocacy that was used, I'd say it was a collaborative style. So it's these organizations, individual advocates, people in recovery. They're working with these government agencies, medical professionals, and recovery groups to push this. And then public awareness campaigns too, and kind of what we said with like the viral marketing on billboards, bus stops, and whatnot. The marketing is good, and for the most part, people are aware of the depth of this problem, but I don't think a lot of people are aware of what's all needed to actually fix it. Because there are a lot of times where people could, be in a right spot and then they go back out because they got screwed over on some housing or something like that, and they didn't have an option. They had to be homeless for a week. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So the types of advocacy used would be public awareness campaigns, and that was in part to reduce stigma and educate people on the topic of addiction recovery. Meeting with legislators to push for policy change, letter writing campaigns and petitions to show public support, and then testimonies from people in recovery. And that was kind of like the driving factor for a lot of this. Is a lot of people will see drug addicts as junkies and the lowest end of society. So when these people can, recover, get back on their feet, come in, get a job, be a manager, run a company, have a family, and then lawmakers are the people that they can see this, they can see essentially that it actually works. So who led this and who made it effective? Faces and Voices of Recovery. They work with a lot of organizations and they have a lot of money. So they are one of the major anti-drug companies, like advocacy groups companies in the United States. That SAMHSA and then various individuals and smaller advocacy groups were working with these large organizations. So what made this essentially effective was the real stories from the people in recovery. the individuals in recovery research-based policy proposals and coalition building between advocates and lawmakers. So what it boils down to, was this effective? So the act was passed, and that expanded funding for treatment and recovery programs, and that is a success. People can get a lot of help in addiction treatment whenever it comes to being on government insurance or in a government program, essentially. But challenges still remain. There's a lot of problems with housing. That is one big thing, and employment is, I'd say, the other big thing. But a lot of these addicts, they're going to be coming through and face stigma and less access to things like healthcare for the rest of their life. So the fight for recovery-friendly policies is ongoing, and we've made a lot of strides during the opioid crisis, but there's still a lot of work that we can do. Thank you.